Maytime in the year of our Lord 2001, and with the southern countryside in the grip of the great foot and mouth plague, Country Ways has to change tack and head for town. And where better in these tragic circumstances than Romsey in Hampshire, with its magnificent abbey, first established in 907 AD by Edward the Elder for his daughter Ethelfleda, eldest granddaughter of Alfred the Great, who's said to be buried here. The mighty River Test, once crowded with productive mills, flows through and past the small town, and then on to Broadlands, once the home of Lord Palmerston and later Lord Mountbatten of Burma, on its way to the sea at Redbridge at the top of Southampton Water. Another feature of the town used to be the number of its pubs, one shared between every 141 people. No wonder there was an old saying about a man being so drunk that he must have come from Romsey. The town itself is a tidy and charming place, boasting plenty of old-fashioned shops with personal service and high-quality goods and food at a premium. Its centre is as attractive and as easy on the eye as you could hope for in these days of artificial progress, even if the traffic is busier than you might wish it to be. And in May, with spring here in earnest and summer close around the corner, all is for the best for most of the people in the town and in the surrounding villages. It should, of course, be the finest of times for farmers, too. But alas, the threat of the great disease has cramped their style and rightly closed their gates. Luckily, there's still a little countryside accessible to us without risk. And to give hope in hard times, this speckled-faced Beulah ewe looks after her rare quadruplets with lots of motherly love and pride on a small holding close to Romsey. For not far off half a century, Albert Dutfield has been the Romsey window cleaner. He's such a well-known figure in the town that it's said that if he walked through the square with the Queen or the Pope, people would ask, "Who's that person with Albert?" Most days he's up with the milkman at 5:30 in the morning before the streets become crowded, and he often works bank holidays as well. His is the sort of old-time service that's dying out around the land, and more's the pity.
In the course of a week, I suppose, on average, I clean 25 shops a day, a few private houses, but not very many now. I used to do a lot more, but I'm running down now as I'm going to retire at the end of this year, so looking forward to that. Romsey's changed an awful lot to what it was when I first started, I think, and the ways of cleaning windows as well. When I first started, we used to use little pieces of chamois on a string and polish, no squeegees. Never heard of squeegees when I first started, so it's just becomes a way of life, I suppose. I don't think there's any real secret to cleaning windows. I've been doing it so long, 46, 47 years. It just comes natural, I suppose. I use a drop of soap in one bucket for squeegee work, but normally it's just plain water for these sort of windows because soap takes a lot more getting off.
Good morning, Albert.
Morning, Pauline.
How are you?
Oh, thank you very much.
Lovely day for window cleaning.
Not too bad at all. Not quite so nice as yesterday, but it's okay.
No. Well, the sun is trying to come through, I think.
True.
Have you got a busy day today?
Fairly busy.
Really?
Yeah.
Lots more to do?
Enough.
Yes. Thank you so much.
I must enjoy window cleaning because I've been doing it for a long time. I enjoy the people, I suppose, more than probably the window cleaning. Meet an awful lot of people. Most people know me in Romsey, so it's quite good, really. I couldn't do anything else. Couldn't work inside. Too claustrophobic. I used to have one lady that had a shop next to the Conservative Club. Every week she used to forget her keys. We used to hang through the skylight at the top and open the lock for her so she could get in. Well, the job can be very dangerous. If you're doing 3 stories or more, you really need somebody on the bottom of the ladder or something there to steady you. But when you're on your own, you can't always have it, so take a risk, yeah. I couldn't work behind the desk in an office, no way. I've been outside too long now. I think can't beat the open air. What will I do when I retire? Oh, I'd probably carry on doing a bit of window cleaning somewhere or other.
Gardener Mavis Eastwood, once from Somerset, has plenty of work to do on her own patch on an early May evening. At her home in Sherfield English, 3 miles to the west of Romsey, she has lots to keep her busy, including a small flock of hens and some ducks.
I've got quite an assortment of hens. Some of them I buy from where they've been indoors all the time, and then I have them outside and they begin to lay again. I've got bantams. I've got a cock that was rescued from a rubbish tip in London, and I've got a drake that came from the park in Romsey that was damaged, and I've nursed it back to health. I've got half a dozen that were given to me by somebody who didn't want hens any longer, and there's quite nice ones in there, so it's quite fun looking after them all.
As this is Thursday, Mavis is cleaning and collecting her eggs for tomorrow's WI market in the Abbey Hall in Romsey, where she sells them every week.
These are the eggs I shall be taking to Romsey tomorrow, having washed them first, of course. I go to Romsey WI Market every week with my eggs. I also go to Totton Community Market because I have too many just for Romsey, and it's quite busy and I meet quite a lot of interesting people. Well, at the moment the hens are laying very well, and last week I sold 10 dozen at Romsey and about the same in Totton. But they don't stay laying like that throughout the year, and this is the peak of their laying. But there is a demand for these fresh eggs, and people like to know that they've come from hens that have been outside and enjoying themselves. If you want to get what you want from Romsey Market, you have to be there at the beginning, because within the first 20 minutes the best has gone. You can place orders if you wish to, but most people come and like to have a look and see what there is, but you've got to be early if you want a good choice. We're opening now. It does go quickly, especially the cakes, and at this time of year the plants are very, very popular. We also cover handicrafts and vegetables. That's a little difficult in the winter, but now it's all increasing again and we have lots to offer. The market has been quite valuable to quite a few ladies who've been left on their own and had to fend for themselves, and it's been a way of coming in and meeting other people and giving an interest when times have been a bit difficult perhaps. I'm very lucky in that I live out in the country, and that is why we chose to be in Sherfield English, but to come into Romsey is a pleasure because it is a nice little town, very compact, but very enjoyable shopping there. It is a lot busier than it used to be, but so is everywhere else.
For centuries, Romsey has been a town of streams and mills and waterways, all adding strength to the town's prosperity. Today, many of the mills have vanished as what is called progress takes over in their place. But at Mill Water Gardens, Tim Bath and his team still make a living based on one of the old buildings and the water which surrounds it. Here they cater for fish enthusiasts and gardeners of all kinds, especially for those who enjoy having a water feature on their patch. Here the sound of the test is a constant companion.
This is part of the test. It's split into 4, just north of Romsey, and it comes down and goes all the way around Romsey in itself with 2 what they call mill streams passing through the centre of Romsey, which are called the races, and they both run through Mill Water Gardens here and join up with the other ones below Romsey into the parks. And this part of the river was designed by my father-in-law initially as his idea of a water garden, and over the last few years I've had an input and expanded on the business with the benefit of the growth of water gardening, and we've expanded on the garden and made it a prettier environment using the water as a backcloth. We're trying to offer people down to earth advice and technical information on how to get a pond balance naturally, showing them how plants look in their normal environment, and try to fire their imagination to having visited us without any thoughts whatsoever of a pond or a water feature. They will go away from here hopefully thinking they ought to have one in their garden. And the biggest thing everybody wants is a river, of course, but that's something we can't do. Our major business here is growing and producing plants, so we have one girl fully in the back room working on the plants. We have 3 people attending to the garden and dealing with the customers, and 1 other floating in all departments to help wherever's necessary. It's one of those jobs you either love or hate because it's either too hot, too cold, too wet or too dry. Financially it's not the most rewarding, but naturally it's marvellous because you can see the result of your efforts very quickly. You cut the grass, you can stand back and you see a tidy garden. You pot on a plant and within a few days you see growth on it. I wake up in the morning, I can't wait to pull the curtains and see what's happening outside. And when I go out on my deliveries, I have a great deal of pleasure driving over the bridge and looking back into here. It's probably paradise on earth here, and couldn't think of a nicer place to be.
In the age of the domineering supermarket, it's a comfort to find a small bakery still doing good business in a town like Romsey. Terry Donovan and his team of 8 at Mascot Bakery are up at a crack of dawn each day to bake the loaves and to make the buns and cakes for the townsfolk, as well as for pubs and shops in the surrounding countryside. This is hard and demanding work, but Terry's enthusiasm for baking, learnt as a boy in Bermondsey, is undiminished.
Well, it was when I was a kid, really, when I was about 13, 14, down the bottom of my mum's garden, it backed onto a bakery. And I used to go in and cut the bread in the morning before I went to school. And that stayed there ever since, basically. It's just one of those things, you sort of fall into a job, don't you? It wasn't a chosen profession. The secret of baking bread properly is basically time. It's putting the effort in at the beginning to get the product out at the end. You've got to take time over it, and you've got to do it properly, how it should have been done years ago instead of mass-produced. The team I've got here are basically craftsmen. They're all trained, they've been doing it all their life. The bakers are the same as me, basically. From school, they've never had another job. Not just working here, obviously, but they've come from school into the baking trade, so there's a massive experience. There's no craftsmen about now coming into the trade, so I think we've got the last of them. Romsey needs a baker like us, basically because we can do things individually. We don't make 1,000 loaves all the same. If someone came in to me and said they wanted something specific, because it's all made by hand here, we can make one item, or we can make 1,000 items. It's more for an individual rather than the mass market. And we're the same with all the pubs and that. Some want little tiny rolls which are a different shape from what they can get anywhere else. And then they change their menu and we'll do a different shape again. That's what we're here for. More for customer convenience, basically. As soon as I get here in the morning, we're getting the orders out. We have a night baker, so we've got bread made during the night, because basically everybody wants their bread before 6 o'clock. So I get in about 3:30, start getting the orders up, and the driver will take them out about 5. Romsey is a very nice little town. The people are very pleasant, they know what they like, and they don't like a lot of change. So basically that's where we do quite well, because majority of our customers have been coming here for the last, well, all their lives, and it's always been a bakery. I've tried to go back, and it must be 100 years it's been a bakery, and it seems every customer who comes in our shop has some time in their life worked in this bakery. And I think they would be sorry if this went, because they'd have to go to the supermarkets. So I feel we're actually doing a community service as well as earning a living out of it.
Morning, Heather.
Hello, Sandy.
Small white loaf, please.
Thank you.
Lovely day, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Makes you change.
Yeah. Thank you. 54 pence.
Thanks ever so much.
See you later. Bye.
There's a famous salmon leap on the Test at Romsey, where in years past the great fish heading upriver to spawn used to put on a spectacular annual show for townspeople and visitors alike. Today, alas, thanks to human stupidity and greed, the numbers of salmon are small and the age-old leap less well patronised by them. Living beside this magnificent stretch of the river for over 40 years now are Len and Wyn Hutchings with their dog Sam and their children and grandchildren too. It must be one of the finest places on earth to live, with the roar of the river constantly in your ears.
It was quite a sight years ago. We used to have crowds of people here, especially weekends. They even ran coach trips up from Bournemouth at one time for several seasons. But it's rather funny, because although it was October and November when they always jumped, of course you would always get people turning up here in April and May, and even during the height of the summer, and they would ask, you know, when are the salmon jumping, you know. But it always came as a bit of a shock to find they're either several months early or several months too late. If you were particularly lucky, not all, but some of the finest jumps, they used to clear the water and to part the crowds overlooking the wall there, and all the oohs and ahs, you always knew exactly what kind of jump it was compared to the ones that just appeared out of the water, you know. But I've seen the crowds to part, you know, quickly part for the salmon to land there, and someone would pick it up and throw it back in over the wall again. It was quite something. Often we felt that you wanted a foot-operated, spring-loaded one out in the river there. You know, you could operate here from the riverbank, and it would keep everybody happy, and they'd all go home happy too, you know.
I like gardening, yes I do, when I find the time to do it. Sometimes I look at it and think, oh, I must get out there, and I do go out there then, and I do enjoy it. It's relaxing.
And they're the same, yeah, that's right. I think it looks better, don't you, when it all comes out.
We're doing the baskets at the moment for the summer bedding. We'll probably have to put them into the greenhouse because it's, you know, the weather at the moment. We usually have after the spring bulbs have all finished in the tubs, we take them out and then we put the summer bedding in. And it's a picture.
That's a pretty one. Another dark eyes.
4 years ago, our daughter was married here, and we had a marquee, and we had all the colours of her wedding, and it was beautiful. All the lovely reds and creams, and it really, we have hanging baskets all around. So it's quite a lot of work, and a lot of watering, of course, you know.
I find a lot of work is done in tidying up throughout the year. There's always something needs doing along the riverbanks, and luckily I've got quite a useful strimmer, and that cuts through most of it. Whether it's things I should have left or what, it all goes one way with me, but it's quite successful, and it does make a big difference.
William Cobbett rode through Hampshire close to Romsey on his ever-patient horse in the summer of 1826 and wrote, "This is one of those countries of chalk and flint and dry topsoil and hard roads and high bare hills and deep dells, with clumps of lofty trees here and there, which are so many rookeries. This is one of those countries, or rather approaching towards those countries, of downs and flocks of sheep, which I like so much, which I always get to when I can, and which many people seem to flee from as naturally as men flee from pestilence. They call such countries naked and barren, though they are, in the summer months, actually covered with meat and with corn.